Hi, everybody. I jumped the gun there a little bit before we allocated the breakout rooms. So let's just wait for everybody, and especially our host, Thomas, to join us. So just give us a minute while everybody joins our breakout rooms. So there we go, Thomas. I jumped the gun before our breakout rooms were complete. I'm glad you're all busy joining us. I'm just going to give it about 30 seconds just to see how many people are still going to be joining us. But I'm super happy about this conversation, building futures literacy. It's something that we are very passionate about, and I know you are as well. So, okay, so I'm going to encourage everyone to put some questions in the chat. Thomas, if you would like me to prompt you with questions, etc., at a later stage, I will do so. If you can't see the chat as well, just let me know. Otherwise, you're most welcome to address them as you wish to do so. So let's kick it off, Thomas. Maybe just introduce yourself and then, yeah, just take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Janine, and all of you are warmly welcome here from Hungary, which is a bit far from the actual time zone, but we are very happy to join the other part of the world from our perspective. I'm Tamás Gáspár. Um, we are from Budapest. Well, I'm from Budapest, Hungary, teaching at the Budapest University of Economics and Business, and involved in future studies for more than 25 years. And mainly it is the pedagogy of future studies what I'm really interested in and what I was working on. So, namely the background secrets of the futures field. And I have a program of strategic foresight in the doctoral school of the university. However, in recent years, we turned our attention mainly how to improve the competence, the future's competence of people. And this is why I'm very happy that some volunteer students of mine joined this program who are now with us as co-facilitators. So may I give the floor to them for a short introduction as well? And so I just ask you to share where you are from and what is your background. And also I would like to ask you to share your favorite cartoon, right? Or animation film, something that you really like. And I also ask the participants here just to think about it. I think it would be a quite easy move from the quantum physics to another word. So this is the main aim now of this one. Uh, I think ladies first. So Reka, may I ask you to start?
Sure. Good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Great. Hi, my name is Reka. I'm from Hungary and I studied at the Budapest Business University, both bachelor and masters, where I joined Tamás's courses. I deeply enjoyed them and they were really influential. I'm happy I got the chance to be here and talk about it further today. Um, Yeah, that's about me. Now I move to the financial field and all the future studies that I picked up on during these courses are really helpful for me, I
Okay.
would
We will be curious about that, right? This experience, Reka. Emmanuel, you are just next to me, right, on the screen. So it is your turn then.
Right. So my name is Emmanuel Ehibai. I'm Nigerian. I had my background in my bachelor's degree studying agricultural economics and extensions. it sounds very far away from studying my master's in economy and business right now. But I guess it's always been from the point where I've always been interested in um, macroeconomics and all other forms of social sciences as well. So yeah, currently in my fourth semester. I'm one of Professor Tamash's students who participated in the Futures Literacy course here. And I have to say it's been a very exciting and thrilling experience for me learning and having a foundation in futures literacy. For the cartoon, is it time
Yeah.
to
Oh,
share
yes. Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
cartoon?
Oh, yeah, Rico, I forgot about it. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Uh, uh,
Emmanuel?
I grew up enjoying The Lion's King, but I would say that more recently I've had uh, I wouldn't say a change of feelings towards the Lion's King, but more of a new interest. It's I don't know if you know a movie called
Yeah, yeah,
Moana.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Moana. Yeah, it's a really good one
Okay.
because it shows the fearlessness in the youth, the curiosity of the youth, the leadership qualities that is present in the youth, the need to explore a world beyond, their little confines, and also
Okay.
inherently in the movie, she gets to save her people and expose and bring on many more cultures and lands back to their, back to their homes. So it's for me, it's
All
a
right.
inspiring one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. Rika, can we turn to your fairy tale or cartoon or animation film?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, my brother actually made me watch it last year, and I
Ah,
really loved it. It was Avatar: The Last Airbender. I
okay.
don't know if you know it, it's on
Yeah.
Nickelodeon. Um, for those of you who don't know, it's about the last airbender, who is the avatar, who must master four elements to stop the Fire Nation's war and restore balance to the world alongside his friends. It's amazing because of the world building, the deep character development, and it's like a perfect mix of humor and emotion. I'm really glad my brother sat me down and made me watch it, honestly.
Brilliant.
I
Okay,
can
thank you.
recommend.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. Thank you, Rika. Amazing. Sebastian, you are closest to me on the screen. So may I give the floor to you?
Yeah,
Another
sure.
part of the world you are representing. Yes.
Thank you. Well, my name is Sebastian. I am from Costa Rica, also currently pursuing this master's degree, and my bachelor's was in economics. And well, my favorite cartoon is Jack Skeleton from The Nightmare Before Christmas, just because it combines two of my favorite holidays.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. And from the group, Nariman is also with us. Can you, are you with us, Nariman? Oh, yes.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay. Do you, oh, yes, you have the
Hi.
camera. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you are also another part from the world. All right. So the floor is
Yes.
yours.
Thank you, Professor. I'm from Iran. I've done my bachelor degree in economics and finance, and also doing a master's. To be more accurate, doing the second master's in international economy and business here. So, yeah, about the cartoon or animation, if I would say, I watched Up in 2009. The animation is called Up. It's about Carl Fredrickson, an elderly man who wanted to adventure the world, but then who got basically stuck with routine when he basically loses his wife.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, circumstances forced him to get out of his basically comfort zone and then take on a journey completely different than what he was expecting. So yeah,
Okay.
that's all. Yeah,
Okay, wonderful.
thank you.
I think it was just me who forgot about the cartoon. Uh, well, my favorite is the Kung Fu Panda, right? Which occurred to me. Mainly, I love it really. Mainly for at least for two reasons. One is simply that a lot of things happen to us unexpectedly. Like Po became a kung fu a master, in kung fu, and mainly so the message that everyone has his or her future, and everybody has the possibility to reach the highest uh, potential, right? What he has or she has, even if he doesn't know about it. And the other one is that the root of the success, what he has, is take it easy, right? So not to take very seriously the things. And this is why the world is really open. Now, so this is where we are with, you can see a very diverse group of wonderful people from all over the world. And with this group and some others who cannot be with us at the moment, we jumped into a research voluntarily, let me say. So everybody spent his time and energy every week on a research on futures literacy, and mainly the question was how to improve the futures competence. Just to see the framework and the context, let me just share a very short introduction about it, just to see what we did, since it is mainly the experience of our friends, what we are really interested in. Now, so here we are. I guess you can see it, right? Okay. Now, so what we did was jumping into futures literacy, which very much turns not simply to the optional futures, but rather the potential behind creating or articulating different futures. And recently, of course, it became very important and popular. However, we have quite little experience how to measure it and basically how to improve it, or even if we have any possibility to improve it. So this is why I had a kind of let's say picture or structure in my head concerning the sense of futures literacy. I defined it as a competence mainly, and this is how we structured the whole course as well. Let me say that in three dimensions, such as the knowledge, skills, and awareness, how we can define competence. And in terms of the knowledge, here we can distinguish among the different types of futures, what we use and what real and others introduced as well. So this was one dimension we built the research on. The other one was the set of skills, what we can use in order to adapt these futures, partly sense making and partly strange making and partly overlapping type of skills. So skill building was another area what we did. And of course, we were very much interested in the awareness, in the increasing awareness. So the consciousness or awareness, how we use the futures and how we use these skills. So this was mainly let's say, the space of the futures, where we defined futures literacy as the basis, so let's say the minimum level, while at a very high level we can call it, let's say, kind of futures fluency, if we are really really good in all areas. And finally, what we did during these 10 weeks or a complete semester was, let's say, two or three main fundamentals, what we defined. One was that we did week by week, mainly exercises on using the future and on the skills. And you can see that in terms of sense making and strange making type of skills, what we did, that of course basically we started with the sense making skills. This is much more by experience. This is much more what we use, so it was easier to introduce. However, as you can see, of course, we kept on making exercises on the sense making, though to a smaller and smaller extent, while we turn more and more our attention to the strange making skills, since of course regularly, very rarely we use it in the everyday life, or much rarely, and this is why there was a transition into using these strange making skills, and week by week we used more and more on that and turned our attention more and more on linking the sense making and strange making, as well as more and more on using extreme strange making skills. And we started it, as you can see, from the beginning, since it was very important to do so. And the other one was another layer that we linked these exercises to brain gym exercises as well, to a little extent, since the movement, right, the physical exercises and the mental, let's say, exercises or the wiring of the brain are very highly linked to each other. So we tried to help the harmonization of the brain in order to use the future in a wider sense, a much wider sense. And as you can see, we went a backward sequence, namely because I think the most important foundation or the stone of this whole course or exercise or research was the self-reflection of the participants, which means that every week we started with an oral discussion, a short discussion on the experience of the previous week, concerning using the future and using the skills, as well as I asked all the participants, the students, to write a diary, a weekly diary, which was really fun to read afterwards. That what happened during the week, what experience they had in the everyday life. And finally, of course, we made a focus group discussion on the evaluation of the whole issue. Now, so this is what we did, and this is where we are, basically. And we would like to spend this hour to the conversation, namely on the experience of this future literacy building. And it's an open discussion, mainly. So I would like to ask you, you participants who are co-facilitators as well, to jump in anytime. Just raise your hand because it's easier, or you can just scream in if you want. And of course, the participants as well to jump in the conversation, raising hands, though we will leave, of course, enough time in the end for further discussions, for questions and answers, and so on. Is that okay? Right? Now, so of course, the first, or maybe the most interesting part would be the question that before, when we jumped into this exercise or research, so futures literacy or using the futures is not something alien, because we use in the everyday life, of course, the future. So would you share, first of all, if you can recall, that what kind of preliminary knowledge you had on futures, or what was the regular case, routine, how you use the future before the course in your life? Yeah, you can jump in. Come on, yes, Nariman. Thank you. Just go on.
Yeah, for me, if I just basically recall the first point, was the course we've had together on world economic theories. Because before we started this course, we've had a course called World Economic Theories, which in there, it actually opened my eyes to the major transitions in the human history. From, well, Gilgamesh and Enkidu time to the modern world. And then, well, it got me to a point to think of how do societies evolve and what drive change and basically how do we prepare for these changes in the future. So, but then again, once we started this course, I didn't have knowledge I can't say I didn't have knowledge at all, but I was very like limited. I had a very limited knowledge about the future studies because by the time of the world economic theory, I had some research about and found some articles related, but it was just I was actually swimming in an ocean. I mean, without any direction, basically. So, to me, it was a little bit of fear at the same time, uncertainty, well, at the same time, curiosity as well. So, before I started the course, but then. But then again, the further we went, we processed, it was somehow more. I mean, for me, it was like more fear because because I got to the point that it actually I don't basically because once you don't know anything about a subject or about a topic, you got a fear and you got somehow an uncertainty about it. But because you don't know what it is, you can't really address the uncertainty. But then by the time I got to the course and I found out what it's about, then I I was more feared, I could say. I was because it was a somehow very I could say exciting and also very different perspective. I would explain later what if there is any time that how what happened in my
Yeah,
mind
maybe
basically.
maybe we can link it these two. I mean, the preliminary knowledge or regular use and how you changed, right,
Yeah.
during the course. Because yeah, maybe it's easier to articulate the two at the same time. Yeah, just go on. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing was, there were like exercises and different like even physical training, as you mentioned, like the gym we had. Uh, all the exercises somehow pushed me in the way to break my usual like patterns of thinking. Because before the course, I was kind of thinking about a single future. I wasn't thinking about the different scenarios and different, basically, futures, different possibilities. But then the ability to shift this perspective, it was like fascinating for me, and I'm still learning how basically to do it. Yeah, that was from my side.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who will continue?
So for me,
Yeah.
I share some parts of Nariman's experience as well. However, I think that the difference between perhaps Nariman and myself is I think by nature or maybe nurture, I've always been a positively optimistic person. And so the idea of the future um, hasn't always put that much fear. Um, there's a there's just caution and the need to be precise and almost perfect in how you go about the future. And so for me, before the course, it was basically following those lines of, okay, this is the path to go. This is what we are going to do to get to that path. Do not at any point deviate from the path. And so this is where the course helped, just as Nariman said, to identify the um, alternative futures that present itself. And so I would say before the course, it was um, I do not want to use systematic as a word, but for the lack of a better word, it was less systematic in the sense that there wasn't a precise method to first viewing the future and then also creating the outcome. And I think for me, this is what the course really helped, at least on a foundational note. It helped to uh, open me up. That's the word. And it's one of the things that we discussed during the course as well. The openness, the willingness to embrace surprise, and how surprise is fun. and even also embracing transitions and how transitions, are very important in anticipating or creating an outcome of the future. So for me, that would be a point I would
Yeah.
yeah, really stem on.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I think very few people would say that surprise is fun. I mean, regularly. But yeah, this is so. I think we experience that, right?
I
Rika?
never used to like surprises at all, but
Yeah.
now I want more things to surprise me.
Okay.
That's the approach I have to life. I want to be surprised by things, enjoy new fundamentally new experiences that I
Okay.
haven't before. So it's actually quite interesting.
Yeah. Well, we know a lot of people who really do not like even the surprise parties, right? So they are really frightened by it. Rika,
Right.
what about you? Right.
Before the course, my knowledge about futures thinking was very limited. And quite
Mhm.
honestly, I didn't even like thinking about the future because it filled me with so much anxiety. I hadn't really thought about futures literacy as a skill also, or how we can actively shape our perspectives on the future. And I had this more linear approach, like thinking about goals and plans, but not exploring possible futures about it. And so the idea of questioning and recognizing these patterns and scenarios was really new to me.
Mm. Right. I think it was a wonderful path, right?
Yes.
I remember also that time to time, week by week, we were talking about your private life. I mean, your not private, it was academic life, but out of the school. Uh, so professional life that, right, you were really anxious about it. So it's quite interesting how to move, from a situation where you don't really like dealing with the future towards at least a systemic thinking or planning, which is a part of that. Um, but I realized I don't know if it was right that it was a kind of energetic help or help in terms of energy and feelings. So losing stress with finding ways to systematically structure or even plan the future, which is one way, of course, but a very good way to use so. Right? Was it the
Definitely.
case?
Definitely. The course made me certainly more open to uncertainty. And
Okay.
before I saw it as something stressful, something to avoid, but now I can feel like I can approach it with curiosity rather than fear. Also, it's hard to change, but um, thankfully I
Mhm.
feel it on myself that I'm not that fearful anymore, and really I can um, just concentrate on the better parts of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah,
Wonderful.
I consider multiple solutions now, so that's good.
Okay. Sebastian?
Well, I think for me, I had experience on this, but I didn't really know that I had it. And that's part of what I learned throughout the course. Because, well, as Nariman mentioned, when we learn about history and events of the world or of historical events, uh, we don't realize, but we are also learning about futures literacy. And personally, I feel like I was like kind of this person, and maybe some of you people in the audience are related to this, but sometimes you have a plan in your life and you plan to do it, but you don't really know what is going to happen. So maybe you have a plan B or a plan C, depending on what could happen. Or maybe you are doing an activity right now on the weekend and you're already planning what you want to do next weekend and how you will enjoy the upcoming spring and stuff like that. So that is part of what you can have or what you can learn through this type of courses. Of course, I had this experience, but I didn't know I had this experience. And well, that's part of what you learn through the course. For example, I was also reading at the comments in the chat box. I read a comment from Faisal from Saudi Arabia, and you wrote that you are interested about the future studies and you just started your learning journey. Well, this is even more than probably all of us had 2 years ago, 1 year ago, before we started this journey. And I think that is the right way. You're already on your right way. This is a very interesting journey that we began, and personally, it has helped me a lot, as my colleague said, to change my perspective and my perceptions about the future. It's been a really interesting journey.
Mm, mm, mm. Wonderful, right. And it's quite interesting that, yes, indeed, participants are following the conversation, I mean, with comments as well. This is excellent, really. Now, of course, now you shared the experience, how you changed, but of course, we don't know that, and you mentioned that during the course or during the research, that, but we don't know what we did anyway. So, what was the source of this change? So maybe the others can be really curious about what we did. So, of course, we won't discuss the whole 10 weeks, but I would like you just to pick up one or two exercises or issues, right, which was really influential in your life, or what you really liked, or which was eye-opening, or anything like that, right? So, which part or which exercises? Yeah, Nariman. Yeah, started.
Yeah. Well, for me, the most interesting, well, an influential part of the course, if I want to pick one of the exercises, was the camera versus cameraman exercise that we had.
Mm.
It was very eye-opening because at first it seemed like very simple. So
Can you
you got.
explain to the others? I don't think other people know what it is.
Yeah, I will actually explain it. It's just an exercise that gives you the opportunity to choose whether you're going to be a camera or the cameraman. So, or basically, if I go a little bit deeper, if you're a camera, so you're just passively observing the world, or if you're the cameraman, then you're deciding to focus on a very specific thing. So I think that's what exactly how we approach to future. If we act like a camera, then I think we just watch changes happen and react to it, not even and like not proactively approaching it basically. But once you're a cameraman, then you know where to focus and what to avoid and basically ultimately I could say what kind of a image you wanna create. So that was a very,
Okay.
very genius idea and very, very nice exercise that we had on that. And everybody had basically picked like one part of the game, and it was just fascinating to see other basically colleagues to see what their perspective is. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. I didn't remember that yet. Good. Okay. Who's next? Come on. Yes, Sebastian.
I think one of the games that opened my eyes the most, it is like the Great Transition game.
Mm.
This was a game where we imagined complex scenarios of the future, and we had some factors to consider, like factors that are like, let's say, our weapons to cope with the future, but also possible obstacles of we could face in the future. So we had to come with possible scenarios, hopefully common solutions for different situations. And I realized that this can be even upscaled to a polycrisis scenario. This was a very challenging game. Sometimes it can bring you some headache, and it can be even more interesting if you perform it in groups, but definitely opened my mind, opened my eyes, and I mean, it's something that we can deal with in life. I mean, we don't have to imagine a polycrisis of a mutual collapsing of the world. I mean, we have polycrisis in our daily lives. Us as individuals, sometimes we're not only facing just one problem, we can face different problems at the same time. And this taught me a lot that we can apply also the future skills to our personal lives even.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. Okay. Reka, Emmanuel?
Um,
Yeah.
for me, there were multiple. It seemed to me like every class, every session was a mind explosion of some kind that always happened for me. To choose one, because there are so many.
You can choose several.
Okay, so I think one of the things that I would two then I'll just do two. There was one time we had a session where everyone picked cards and there was a context that was created, and it did not matter any card you picked, you had to follow the storyline.
Yeah.
And you could pick the most absurd things or the most unlikely things, and you would have to consciously come up with um, a story that follows the storyline that has already been set in context. And for me, I never thought that was possible because um, um, if you talk about animals, you talked about animals. You don't talk about animals and talk about non-living things and relate them, or relate the rain with with dogs or with flowers. It to the ordinary eye, it doesn't make much sense. I think that's the strange making part of it, which we don't usually use in the daily life. But the ability to synchronize and find relationships between the most unlikely things. I think for me that particular game was too powerful, because now I think I see I become more and more strange in my personal circle and how I link things and relate it to friends and close associates, and they wonder where that comes from. You know, it's such a powerful way to see the world, to see situations. The second one I would also want, because it's more I guess you could say in some levels it includes the empirical knowledge aspect as well, would be the futures wheel, the ability to find links between situations and consequences which those situations will bring about, and also drill down and drill broadly. You know, you could go different ways, and it's more fun, like Sebastian mentioned, when you do it in groups, some of these activities. But they were really interesting to experience how, you know, you could trace the relationships and then find out of the consequences and the chaos, you could still find the flower that blooms. You know, it's such a powerful thing how that transition played out in the course of the program.
Very nice. Yeah, very well. Thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. So the blooming chaos. Okay. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, Reka, can
Yeah.
you still remember?
Sure, I have two
Oh, okay.
that I thought of. One of the most impactful exercises for me was the pattern recognition task. And it was about finding a pattern in a set of numbers. And I remember I was very bad at this. And at first, it seemed just like a logic task, but then I realized how relevant it is to real life as well. It made me think about the patterns I follow in making my decisions and my habits and ways of thinking. And it was a moment of self-reflection for me because I recognized which patterns serve me well and which ones might need to change in the future. And the other one that really stood out was when we had to visualize ourselves waking up tomorrow in a year and then 10 years from now. And then for some people, or like most people, it was an exciting experience as I felt in the room. But for me, it was quite uncomfortable because I don't really have a set personal plan, and thinking too far ahead made me really anxious there. And however, it also made me realize that it's okay not to have everything figured out just yet, as long as I stay open to possibilities and adapt as I go. So that was a really valuable key takeaway for me.
Okay,
Thank you.
wonderful. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
Professor,
Go on.
which one was your favorite? Or what did you like?
Do-do-do-do-do. Um, um, I think one which was also with visualization in under strange circumstances. So when you had to put your own issues into a different context or a different word. But maybe I don't talk about it, but maybe we can try of something similar, what we didn't do in the course, but maybe we can make a very short try, let's say 2 minutes. Well, it could be, of course, a complete hour, but a good jump into it. I ask you in the beginning to think about the favorite fairy tale, right, or cartoon, and also so I ask the participants to think about it. And if you have it in mind, then that's fine. So the game or the exercise would be that just now think about a problem and a problem of the present or an issue which is related to the future and you are very much engaged in. Okay? Just to identify something at the moment in these days that you have to deal with it. It's a problem, it's a challenge, and future related. Okay? Good. Just tell me that you are ready with that. Okay, good. Excellent. Now, I ask all of you now to stop for a moment and please take your fairy tale or cartoon or animation film. Maybe you can close your eyes, okay? Imagine this film or the characters and the words of this fairy tale. And please put yourself and your problem into this fairy tale. Okay? Into this word, which has different characters, different logic, different way of thinking. So put yourself and your problem. And without thinking too much about it, just try to understand and see who you are in this story. And what is your, how do you see your problem? So articulate your problem in under these circumstances, how it looks like, how you can interpret it. Don't think too much about it. Just the impressions, what are coming. Who you are in this story, okay? What kind of participant? How do you feel this story as a participant? And how does your problem look like? Okay, you are smiling. That's fine. Excellent. I cannot see the videos of the others of the participants. I hope they are also smiling, which means that it may work. So, if you can share your impression, your first impression, how it changes the perspective or what you experienced, anything that you would like to share. Let me highlight again with the others that we didn't do this exercise, so it's a surprise. They didn't know of the participants. They didn't know about it, that we would do that now. So We are just demonstrating. And of course, the participants, I ask that you can share your insights as well. So, Emmanuel, how do you see? Just share in 2 sentences or what you
Okay.
feel, what you see.
Do I have to share the personal problem or
No, not necessarily, not
okay, okay.
necessarily.
Um, so in the animation I shared, which again for those who weren't here, is Moana. And I think that I relate to Moana primarily because I think that we sort of have a similar challenge, and in imputing my challenge or associating my challenge and problem with the task which she had in the let me say the sequel to the movie, which is the second part, was primarily about finding her way.
Mm.
And one of the things that she needed to do was she needed to meet a demigod who was apparently an evil witch of some kind, ancient being who encouraged her to get lost in finding her way.
Okay.
And,
And which animal are you in The Lion King?
I am for sure the sage, the monkey.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. From that perspective, I'm sure that it changes.
Yes,
Right.
because
Right.
yes,
The
it,
view.
it, it
Yes.
does change. It does change quite a lot. However,
Okay.
the reason why I was smiling was who I wanted to be. Um,
Okay.
and it wasn't. I didn't want to be Moana. I wanted to be Maui. Maui is the sexy demigod who is very fun and talks to the turtles on his body. Right. And because
Okay.
he's so carefree, always very self-assured. If if a mess
Yeah.
happens, he deals with it and he moves on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that
Thank
was
you.
that was yeah, that was why I
Thank
smiled
you. Thank you,
one second.
Emmanuel. Let me just give the floor to one of you who would like to share. Reka, you were very much smiling. Would you like to share it? Not necessary. I'm not pushy. So if you don't, no, no problem.
I don't know if I did the exercise correctly, but
Well, this is the important point that you cannot do it not correctly, right?
okay. So in our current world and in my life, I was quite focusing on the problem of the rising housing prices, like how I will be able to buy me a place, a home. And so if you're thinking about the Avatar, The Last Airbender, these were younger kids or young adults, I believe kids, who were just traveling the world on this big animal called Appa. And I thought I may just join them. I'm gonna be a nomad. I can, and then I don't need a place to stay.
All right. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So this is it. Wonderful, Reka. Thank you very much. And of course, I would
Thank
like to open the floor to the complete public, right, for any questions, and we have 10 minutes. Any questions, comments on that, or if you would like to share your own new perspective. I don't see everybody, but if you raise your hand, I think either Janie or me will see who you are. But anyway, I'm very happy to see many of you who know. Carol, it's wonderful to see you from Singapore. And so the floor is open for any comments or questions or sharing your insights. You can still think of that. However, we would take some minutes, not to run out of time. I mean, on behalf of the group, that maybe if you say a farewell word, right, to the public and to the world, that would be nice. And we will give back the floor to Janie and the others if you want to still share some ideas in the minutes what we have in the time what we have. So, a final word. Okay, yeah, Nariman. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Professor. Well, just wanted to say this now that we're talking on this basically Futures Day event was once an uncertain future before the course started. And when you compare it to now, right now, compared to the when we started the course was basically an uncertain future. But then this doesn't mean that this is the conclusion as well. It's just another transition, I think. So the future remains, I would say, unwritten, but then again, that's what exactly makes it full of possibilities. Yeah, that's what my basically final word is.
Okay, thank you very much. Very well, very well. Okay, who's
I
next?
would, I would also, I
Yeah.
would also just say that for me, and I think I would like to share this perspective as well. The futures literacy isn't um, primarily about having the solutions. It is about the openness and the willingness to explore every possible challenge and looking for the opportunities in them, right? For me, I came into futures literacy having no idea what it was, having no idea what it is. And I I can't say for sure, I cannot say for sure that I have the answer to all of the futures, right? But I can say that I put myself in the position where I'm able to go for the possibilities that come my way in whatever form they may be, and to always have a consciousness to doing that, not just primarily figuring out all the answers at once. So for you, you might have to do it with a group of people, you might have to do it by yourself, but just put yourself in a position where you're open and willing to explore everything that comes.
Thank you, Emmanuel. It's good news that we don't know the answers, all the answers to the future. Otherwise, it would remain, it would it would be any surprise, right? For the future. Okay. Yeah, who's next? Sebastian?
Well, in general, as sort of we mentioned, this course is very eye-opening. I think that it's a course that everyone in this life should take, whether they are interested in future studies or not. Is very practical and very applicable to our everyday lives. And it definitely helped me a lot on addressing how to cope with the future, but not as only as a professional, but only in my personal life as well. It had a great impact on me. And I really just wanted to share or to expand the invitation to everyone who is interested or who is thinking about doing it. Just go ahead. Don't think it that much. Just go ahead and take the jump. It's quite interesting. I promise it's not a boring discipline or a boring course. Also in the comments, for example, when we did the exercise, there was a comment from Dr. Hasmik Hakobian. And she said that her own problems will disappear in the setting of the animation she thought of. And it's like that. Throughout this course, we have very smiling, funny moments that makes this an interesting course. And yeah, just to share the.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. Wonderful. And as we started with Reka, we will finish the course with Reka, which is, I think, very good since any yin approach in a young world, is always mind-opening and very good for our hearts. So, Reka, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, as for my closing remarks, I would just like to encourage the group and the amazing people here to stay open, stay curious, and don't lose your childlike wonder.
Ah,
And so that's all
okay.
I want to say. Thank
Right.
you.
And your avatar, right? Yeah. We can create the avatar word for us to help perceive our own world from a different perspective. I think it's a wonderful full stop for this conversation. Thank you, Reka, very much. And we give back the floor to Janine and to the others.
Well, I mean, I want to say thank you very much. Your conversation just took me right back to my master's, and I feel the regret of not having started my own PhD journey after listening to all of you, Professor. Thank you so much for sharing that. I look forward to reading your paper when you publish. I hope you will share with us. But so to wrap up the session, thank you very much. Your experiences and your stories have really, I think, given us a lot of insight, and this is absolutely wonderful. It is a very difficult journey, I think, to explain to anyone who hasn't experienced it. All I know, it is mind-blowing, and it gives you the ability to live knowing that no matter what happens, you have the tools to be able to address it, and that's the most comforting thought. So just a quick announcement. If any of you don't know, we've launched a Futures Wise program, which is an intro into futures literacy. It's an online course aimed at teachers or anybody who wants to facilitate workshops, especially for the youth, because that is what Teach the Future does. And yeah, please do the survey that I pasted in the chats if you want a certificate of attendance. But I thank you, and I hope that you will stay online for some of our following sessions. And thank you very, very much again to Tamas and your students for sharing their experiences. It was absolutely wonderful to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, we thank you and have a wonderful day. Really a Futures Day all over the world. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Happy
you.
Futures Day, everyone. Thank you so
Good
much.
day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.